Players who are going too soon based on our early average draft position. That's what we're talking about here on Fantasy Football Today Express. I'm Jamey Eisenberg. That's Dave Richard. This is FFT Express. We're looking at the early average draft position on CBSSports.com drafts and players that might be going a little bit too soon. And let's start with a quarterback in particular, and really just all the quarterbacks, because we know you guys, despite what we tell you in one quarterback leagues, will still take quarterbacks too soon. And the first one coming off the board in our early ADP is Lamar Jackson, the 17th overall player. Just to sort of put that in perspective, Jackson is at 17. And then the next quarterback is Josh Allen at 31. That feels like the right time to take the first quarterback, 31st player overall. 17th overall for Lamar Jackson, 6 points for passing touchdowns. So you're not getting a significant advantage for him necessarily based on the other quarterbacks. Dave, why are people still taking Lamar Jackson and any quarterback in particular in the first 20 overall picks?
I think people love drafting Lamar for the most obvious reasons. He's fun to watch. He's productive because of the rushing upside. I don't understand why he's going 2 rounds, or not 2 rounds, but let's call it 1 round, 1+ ahead of Josh Allen when Josh Allen has been doing the exact same thing. I'd rather have Allen. I just feel like he's safer. The track record's a little bit safer than it is with somebody like Lamar Jackson, but that's picking your poison. The thing that stands out to me is that you can get Jaden Daniels at 39. So that's round 4. And we just got done doing the main FFT show. Heath says one of the guys he's always targeting is Jaden Daniels, and he loves getting him in round 4. I don't know who would hate getting him in late round 3, much less round 4. So that's an ADP that I can totally get behind. This ADP shows me, Jamey, that outside of a couple of quarterbacks, people are starting to get it. They're understanding that they can wait a little bit on quarterback. They don't have to take one in round 1 in a 1 QB league. They don't even have to take one in round 2. They're starting to understand that the position is deep and that they can wait to get a good quarterback at a fair value. And that should be the goal of every fantasy drafter this year.
Next player we'll talk about is George Kittle. And I think there's going to be a clear 3 tight ends that are going to be at the top, whether it's Bowers 1, McBride 2, Kittle 3. I think Kittle will settle with the 3rd spot, but some people, I know I do, I think you do as well, Dave, like McBride ahead of Bowers. Bowers going as the 16th overall player, McBride is the 23rd overall player, and then George Kittle at 32 overall. And I think what we'll end up seeing is just how far will Kittle be away from the top 2 tight ends. And 32 feels like a little bit too soon, knowing that he's older. He's coming off a great season, but he does tend to miss a game or two. Should George Kittle be going early in round 3, excuse me?
No, I think he's a late round 4 pick, and that's just kind of playing it safe. But it's also remembering what George Kittle averaged before last season. I think people are using recency bias and believing that George Kittle is going to be over 15 PPR points per game for the 2nd year in a row when he hasn't done that in a long time. 2021, 13.7 PPR points per game. 2022, 13.3. 2023, this is just 2 seasons ago, folks, 12.7 PPR points per game. I think if you look at him and you say, okay, here's a tight end that you can set your watch to for 13 PPR points per game, you'd say, great. Why would I take that guy in round 3 when I can get a receiver or a running back that'll average more points per game than that? Or wait for a tight end that'll get around 10 or 11 PPR points per game, like 5 rounds later if you wanted to. I think round 4 would be the sweet spot for Kittle.
I think the positive for Kittle, we talked about this on the full-length episode, is when is IU coming back? Well, we don't know. Could be early in the season, could be mid-season, could be late in the season. Coming off a pretty devastating knee injury. We haven't really heard a lot of positive updates yet about when IU will be back on the field. By comparison, Stephon Diggs in New England is already taking part in OTAs, no brace, just running around. So we'll see if Ayuk's able to avoid the PUP list potentially and maybe make it back. But you have Juwan Jennings, who has never been a featured guy consistently. Is he going to be the target getter, number 1 target getter for the 49ers? You have Ricky Pearsall coming off a very incomplete rookie season, showed a lot of great flashes at the end of 2024, but already dealing with a hamstring injury, and who knows when he'll be ready to go in training camp and may have to deal with some concerns. George Kittle is tried and true. He's one of Brock Purdy's go-to guys and one of the go-to guys for Kyle Shanahan. Round 3 may be the best spot to take him, and he may be better than Bowers and Trey McBride. So I agree. I'd rather wait till round 4, but you may be getting a steal if you get him even in round 3 based on his role in the 49ers offense and still being a very productive guy. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on FFT Express. When we come back, we're going to talk about 2 other players that may be getting drafted a little bit too soon, specifically Alvin Kamara. All right, let's talk about Alvin Kamara and just his ADP right now. It's 40th player getting selected in our early ADP. You seem to like that. I don't. Tell me why you like Kamara at the 40th spot.
I just think it's fair. I don't think that he's worth reaching for in round 3 when we're talking about 40th overall in a 10-team league that's at the end of round 4, 12-team league that's the middle of round 4. And for a guy who just has consistently gotten it done for fantasy managers, a lot of it has to do with the catches that he gets in full PPR, but he's been consistently over like 17 PPR points per game. I know he's older. I know that offense is going to suck. The quarterback's going to suck. I buy into him and his opportunity. I still think he's a talented guy. I'm happy to get a running back of that caliber who has the upside to get 17 plus PPR points per game in round 4. I don't know if there's another running back in that range that has that type of upside.
I asked you this on the full length episode when we were talking about the Saints quarterbacks. You said this offense could be one of the worst in football. I agree. Quarterback situation could be one of the worst in football, maybe the worst. With Derek Carr now retired. Now he did put up some good numbers with Spencer Rattler. There's a new coach in place in Kellen Moore. The touchdowns, though, could be extremely hard to come by. Look, he's going to get 60 plus catches. I think that goes without saying. But he's 30 years old now. Last year, missed 3 games with a groin injury. You have to worry about breaking down at this point and just how much can he handle with all the attention he's going to get, knowing that the running production may be absolutely brutal and maybe coaching change. Obviously, Dennis Allen did not like Kendre Miller. Maybe Miller gets a chance to carry the ball, play a little bit more. Maybe Devin Neal, the rookie that they drafted, gets a chance to cut into some of Kamara's workload. I'm just concerned about really just the environment around him. It could be absolutely unbelievably brutal for him. And so, yes, in PPR, he's safer than in the other formats because you don't have to worry about the touchdowns. But if he goes sub 50 in his reception total, knowing that he's probably going to be 6 touchdowns, maybe 8 at most, but I think 6 to 8 is probably the range you're looking at based on his, last several years. Like, this could be a really bad season for a guy that is hitting those, benchmarks of numbers that could start, trend south. So for me, round 5 would be the earliest I would take him in. Just some running backs that are going after him that I like. You said this on the show. You'd rather have Chuba Hubbard. He's going at 47th overall. James Conner, I think, even an older running back there, I would rather have him than Alvin Kamara. If J.K. Dobbins does not go to Denver, I'd rather have R.J. Harvey, who's going at 51st behind Kamara, and just the value of some of the wide receivers. Terry McLaurin, I'd rather have. Mike Evans, even at his age, I'd rather have. DJ Moore, I'd rather have at this point. So there's some receivers I'd be taking over Alvin Kamara as well. So I just do not like him at the 40th overall spot. And then Omarion Hampton is the next guy, and the final guy we'll talk about. He's at 45th overall. That just seems way too soon for a guy that's going to be sharing to some capacity, whether you think he's the lead running back or the second running back for the Chargers. Taking him in round 4 just seems too soon.
It is a little too soon. And I think the public will catch up to that, but I don't think he'll fall that much farther. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up with an ADP of like 52nd overall, 53rd overall. And that still might be too rich for your blood, Jamey, but I think he's the more talented running back in LA. I like how Jim Harbaugh thinks that he's an explosive 3-down player. We knew the explosive part was right. The 3-down part, I'm not sure if we're really going to see a lot of that, but maybe we will. I think we saw last year with the Chargers coaching staff when they realized that Gus Edwards was dust. They put more on J.K. Dobbins' plate. They might see real quickly that Omarion Hampton is the better talent than Naji Harris. And so if I'm getting Hampton in round 5, I think that's a fair value. I'm going to be patient, obviously, but I think certainly by the second half of the year, if not by October, he could end up being a reliable number 2 running back in fantasy lineups. You don't even think twice about pulling him.
I hope so. It just I don't think that Gus Edwards and Najee Harris belong in the same conversation based on their careers. I think that we do have a coaching staff. You talked about this. I mean, going back to what Harbaugh did with his freshman running backs, like, he just doesn't seem to
That's true.
play a lot of these guys early. And yes, they spent first round capital on him. And yes, the contract for Najee Harris isn't that great. I just always go back to this, that veteran players like him that don't do a lot of explosive things, they also don't do a lot of things that are going to kill your team. And so doesn't fumble, never missed a game due to injury. Like, while we will sit here and say, oh my God, Hampton is much better. We say this all the time. You got a Ferrari in the garage and you're driving a Yugo. It doesn't make a lot of sense to not necessarily play your more talented player, but coaches are coaches, and especially, grizzled veteran coaches like this guy is, and his offense coordinator is. Like, will they give him the chances to get more than a minimal amount of opportunities, especially early in the season? So maybe it is October, like you said. Maybe it's not until December, and they realize it. Maybe this is the first year Naji misses time due to injury or starts to fumble. Who knows? But I just don't think that we're going to get the ceiling for Hampton, barring an injury or just something dramatically changing for what Najee's profile has been. So I'm a little bit concerned, and that's why I like Hampton. He's my favorite Chargers running back by a lot, but I just don't think taking him in round 4 at this current juncture makes a lot of sense. But we have plenty of time to talk about average draft position as we have many more drafts coming as the summer unfolds. So great conversation so far. I look forward to more of them about average draft position in the future. For Dave Richard, I'm Jamey Eisenberg. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to FFT Express.